Are you saying it just crept up on you? That one day everything was fine and then suddenly, somehow, everything wasn't. And there's genuinely no explanation for how it happened. Right. Okay. Sure. Because here's the thing. There was a moment. Not dramatic, not loud, nothing that would make sense to anyone else if it got explained. Just a moment where something shifted and that shift got noticed, and then immediately filed away under, probably nothing. Classic. You remember it, don't you? That first time something felt slightly off. A comment that didn't quite land right. A reaction that was just a little too big for the situation. A moment where the room felt different and there was no real reason for it, except there was. There absolutely was. And what happened next? Nothing. That's what happened. It got brushed off. Explained away. Because at that point there was no reason to think it meant anything. They were great, mostly. Fun, mostly. Exactly what was wanted, mostly. And one weird moment didn't change that. So it got let go. Funny thing is, they were watching for exactly that. Watching to see what would happen when that line got nudged. Watching to see if there'd be pushback or silence. And there was silence. Polite, reasonable, generous silence. And they noted that. Filed it away. Because that silence wasn't nothing, that silence was an answer. That silence said, this is someone who will give the benefit of the doubt. That silence said, this is someone who won't make a scene. That silence was the door. And it was wide open. So let's talk about the first test. Because that's exactly what it was, a test. Not a misunderstanding. Not a bad day. Not a momentary lapse in judgment. A test. Delivered casually, almost innocently, in a way that made it impossible to call out without looking completely unreasonable. Maybe they made a comment about someone close. Nothing aggressive, just a slight. A tiny seed of doubt planted so carefully it didn't even feel like planting. Don't you think they're a bit much sometimes? Casual. Throwaway. Almost forgettable. Except it wasn't forgotten, was it? It sat there. Quiet. And the next time that person came up, there was a pause. A small, almost imperceptible hesitation. And they saw it. They absolutely saw it. Or maybe it was a plan that got questioned. Nothing dramatic, just a raised eyebrow. Oh, really? With them, delivered in that specific tone. You know the tone. The one that isn't quite disapproval but isn't quite not disapproval either. And suddenly the plan felt like it needed defending. So it got defended. Explained. Justified. To someone who had absolutely no right to a justification. And that right there, that moment of explaining, was the first brick. Because a locked door doesn't need explaining. Only a door that's already opening does. Think of it like a key being cut. It doesn't happen in one go. It happens in small, precise increments, each one so minor it's almost invisible. But every increment gets the key closer to fitting. That first test was the first cut. Just checking the shape of things. Just seeing where the give was. And here's what's genuinely infuriating about this stage. there was nothing solid enough to confront. Nothing that could be held up and said, this, right here, this is the problem. It was all just, slightly off. A degree or two from normal. And bringing up something that's just a degree or two from normal. That's how someone ends up being called crazy. Oversensitive. Dramatic. And they knew that. That was entirely the point. So nothing got said. The discomfort got swallowed and the evening continued and everything was fine. And they relaxed a little. Because the test had results now. Useful. Telling. Very encouraging results. They didn't need to kick the door down. Didn't need to make a scene. Didn't need to demand anything. They just needed to find the edges, where things were solid and where things were soft. And the soft spots? Those got remembered. Those got revisited. Again and again and again, with just enough time in between to make it feel unconnected. It wasn't unconnected. It was never unconnected. And so it began. The quiet, invisible, completely exhausting full-time job of managing someone else's emotions. Congratulations, no salary, no benefits, no days off. The social circle started shrinking. Not because anyone issued an ultimatum, oh, nothing that straightforward. Just that certain names created a certain atmosphere. Certain plans produced a certain silence. And silence, as it turned out, was extremely effective. Cheaper than an argument and twice as powerful. Words got chosen more carefully now. Reactions got monitored. There was an entire internal editing process running in the background, every single day, before anything got said out loud. Meanwhile, they just talked. Said whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, to whoever they wanted. Completely unbothered. Funny how that works, isn't it? And the best part, the truly spectacular part, is that this got mistaken for growth. For maturity. For being the bigger person. Walking on eggshells every day and calling it personal development. Absolutely remarkable. Because that's what a slow takeover looks like from the inside. It doesn't feel like losing ground. It feels like keeping the peace. It feels like being reasonable. It feels like love, almost. Almost. No, stop. Just, stop. Because this is the part where it needs to be said straight. No more tiptoeing around it, no more being gentle about it. This needs to land. They were playing you. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not struggling with communication. Not having a rough time. Not dealing with their own issues in a clumsy, bless their heart kind of way. Playing. You. Deliberately, patiently, and very successfully, and that is so hard to watch. Every time they flipped a conversation, and they flipped every single one, didn't they? Somehow the problem became the way something got brought up instead of the actual problem. Masterful, really. Truly. Because suddenly there was explaining and defending and justifying, and they were just sitting there, calm as anything, watching it happen. Waiting for the apology that was absolutely coming. From the wrong person. Again. Outstanding performance. Really? And then you apologized. For reacting to being treated badly. Do you hear that? Someone needed to say that to your face a long time ago because that is genuinely, actually unhinged when you say it out loud. And the confusion, that constant, exhausting, suffocating fog of not knowing what's real anymore, of replaying conversations at 2 a.m. trying to figure out where it went wrong, that didn't just happen. That was built. Brick by brick, conversation by conversation. Because a confused person doesn't leave. A confused person stays and tries harder and ties themselves in absolute knots wondering what they did wrong. And while all of that was happening, while there was barely sleeping and barely eating and carrying the full emotional weight of the entire relationship, they were fine. Completely, utterly, disgustingly fine. It's like being handed a map with half the roads missing and being told you're lost because you can't navigate. The map was never complete. They made sure of that. And the examples, because let's be specific here. The plan that suddenly became a problem. The friend who got a comment dropped about them so casually it almost didn't register. The achievement that got a response just lukewarm enough to take the shine off it. The argument that somehow, every single time, ended with the wrong person crying. None of that was accidental. None of it was a bad day. That was a system running exactly as intended. And every time something got swallowed, every time it got let go, smoothed over, filed under, not worth the fight, a little more access got handed over. Freely. Lovingly. To someone who was absolutely counting on exactly that generosity. They didn't deserve it. They never deserved it. So let's just say it. Out loud. No dressing it up. This isn't complicated. It never was. It just got made to feel complicated, because a complicated situation is a lot harder to walk away from than a simple one. And simple is exactly what this is. Someone decided that access was available and kept taking it. That's it. That's the whole story. And it's been working. Beautifully, actually. Embarrassingly well. Because the trust was real. The effort was real. The love was real, on one side of the room, anyway. And all of that realness got used against the person who had it. Which is, frankly, a spectacular thing to do to someone who genuinely cared about you. Really. Take a bow. And now. Now it's visible. The pattern, the tactics, the whole carefully constructed dynamic, visible. And that changes everything because there's no going back from seeing something clearly. The next guilt trip. Seen. The next flipped conversation. Seen. The next perfectly timed moment of sweetness right when things were about to get honest. Absolutely seen. They're going to try it again. Of course they are, why wouldn't they? It's been working fine up until now. But something is different now. The access that was handed over so freely, so generously, so trustingly, that's not automatic anymore. And they can feel that. Even if nothing's been said yet. They can feel it. What happens next belongs to one person and one person only. If you decide to.